All right, there, everybody. Live at Drew's house, another edition. Hope everybody's doing okay. Very bright light today. My goodness, shining brightly. Hey, my guest is going to be a return guest of the show, Newburyport's own Jeff Goodman. Great basketball insider. Does all sorts of great work, and there's a lot to talk about in the basketball world, including the Celtics shakeup and all that good stuff, and all that bad stuff, I should say. Losing in the playoffs, and now you get the trade of Kemba Walker, a whole new regime coming in with Brad Stevens no longer coaching. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the NCAA changes. I think what I'm going to do, too, is at the end of this show, maybe bring in my wife, Sarah, if she'll do it. She's very busy. She's running the Boston Marathon in October. Been doing a lot of fundraising, and she just wanted to give a thanks to a lot of the Newburyport businesses who have helped out because, man, did Newburyport come through for my wife ahead of the marathon and all that. So that's that. Let's bring in Jeff Goodman. We'll talk a little basketball, though. How about that? All right? All right, Jeff Goodman of Stadium joining us now. Jeff, how are you? It's been a little while since you've been on the show. How are things?
I'm good, Drew. How you doing? Everything is good here in lovely Newburyport. And as you know, the good weather has broken finally.
It has. We get the warm weather. It's been we've had a couple rainstorms here in this neck of the woods, but yes, it's been mostly good. Nice to have the hot weather. You survived the bubble that was the NCAA tournament. How was that experience? I want to start with that. I haven't talked with you since.
Yeah, I'd love to lie to you and tell you it was awesome. Now, the games were great, and being able to go to the games were terrific, but there was just no atmosphere in Indianapolis. And every time I've gotten to Indianapolis, which is for several Final Fours, the atmosphere is unbelievable. One of the best cities to have a Final Four in, but there was nobody there. So it just wasn't the same. I was either in my hotel room or at games, which, again, fortunate to be able to go to games. That was great. But Indianapolis as a city, when there's no real Final Four atmosphere, it's not very good.
Yeah, what was it like? I remember you tweeting about it was nice to be back in a stadium, to watch a college basketball game. But what was it like? I mean, was that intensity there? I mean, it felt like the benches were loud, they were into it and all that stuff. But it's still an empty place mostly.
Yeah, the benches were great, and the players on the benches were really good and engaged, and the fans that were there were awesome. Baylor fans were great. I mean, great through the whole thing, but you just didn't have. I remember going. The first four was I went in at Purdue, Mackey Arena, and they were like 10% full. I mean, it was empty, Drew, like completely empty. Yeah. So you just didn't have that same feel at all. But again, listen, we're fortunate that there was an NCAA tournament. There was a national champion, the Baylor Bears. And I thought, listen, for me, I picked Baylor to win it all. So like that part, I'm not right about many predictions. So I was certainly happy I hit the dartboard on this one.
While you say that, might I add that your podcast that you did daily was fantastic. I know I tweeted at you guys a few times, but really it was really good for a college basketball guy like me. It was kind of a must-have. So good job with that.
Thanks. We had fun with it, and the reason we were able to do it every day, honestly, was that I couldn't travel to games. So normally I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be traveling, flying out of Logan, whatever, to different games. But I think we missed one day. I think Christmas was the only day we missed all year. And I blame that on Doster because I'm Jewish. I would have went on Christmas. I was fine to go.
Too funny. Well, you guys did a great job with that. So hopefully you give it some sort of life next year. I don't know what your plan is, but
we got plans. We got plans.
We got plans. All right. Bunch of things I got to touch base with. Big NCAA ruling this week in regard to paying players. What do you make of it all? It's obviously making national news. So.
Yeah, I mean, this was something that the Supreme Court voted 9-0 in, basically allowing players to get paid for educational expenses. Basically, they could give them laptops. You can get a paid internship now. Things that should have been done a long time ago. And this is really the start of a major shift in college athletics, right? This is, we saw a few years ago you can get the stipend, so players are getting a little bit of money that way. Now you can get educational reimbursements and get paid for educational expenses, things of that nature. And next, obviously, the biggest one is going to be name, image, likeness. And that could come in as early as July 1st. There's no actual federal law right now that's going to be able to kind of link everybody together with one set of regulations but there are 5 or 6 states right now that as of July 1st, players in Alabama, New Mexico, and Georgia and Florida are going to be able to make money off their name, image, likeness. So it's going to be an absolute train wreck at the start, Drew, because the NCAA just hasn't figured this out. And I don't blame them completely. I do blame them because they could have been ahead of the game here. But even if they were ahead of the game, there's going to be so many things they haven't thought about. I mean, these kids are going to be able to make money off their social media. And we know, like, anybody who plays, for instance, who has played with, like, Bronny James, LeBron's son out at Sierra Canyon, they've got huge social media followings, 200, 300,000 people following them on Instagram or Twitter. So every tweet they send out now, they're going to be able to make some money off it from a company, from whatever. So, you know, the landscape is changing, and that's part of the reason, frankly, why Roy Williams left when he did. And I know Coach K will deny that he left because of that, but it was a factor. I'm not saying it was the factor. It was a factor in why he decided to go out after next year as opposed to just waiting a little bit longer.
Where do they go from here? I mean, I hear like the NCAA board's meeting today to even talk about this. They're trying to react to this. What happens now?
Well, they're trying to figure out one uniform rule and regulations for all the name, image, likeness, because otherwise, think about it. These players in these 5 or 6 states, if you're a school, you're Florida or Florida State, right? And you're recruiting against Kentucky. Well, right now, your sales pitch is, well, Kentucky doesn't have a name, image, likeness. We do. You can make money next week. July 1st, you can start making money legally in Florida. So why would you go to Kentucky or Louisville or UCLA or Arizona or any of these places where it's not legal yet? Instead, come to us because you can make money right away legally.
It is fascinating. It's a game changer. And I thought it was interesting to hear, like, Justice Kavanaugh, I think, was the one who was a really harsh written statement about how no other business would get away with not paying players. And I mean, some of those statements were very strongly worded, I thought.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Now, again, we'll see what it means at the end of the day. And I think it's going to be kind of ever changing, right? I mean, some of the laws in place that go into place with name, image, likeness, they're going to be tweaked. They're going to be altered as we go forward here because, you know, one thing they've made clear is they don't want players to be employees. They don't want them to be professionals. So what they don't want is recruiting wars in which schools are going to be basically incentivizing kids to come to the school based on compensation. But I don't know how they get around it because here's an example I'll give you is, you know, if I own a bunch of car dealerships, let's say in Boston, for example, because this is actually a good example. I own a bunch of car dealerships in Boston, and I'm best friends with the new Boston College coach, Earl Grant. Best friends with him. I got a ton of money. Well, why can't I tell Earl Grant, hey, Earl, do me a favor, go after that top 10 player and tell him that when he gets on campus at Boston College, if he comes here, he will have $1 million deal to do 10 endorsements through our car dealerships. I want to get BC on the map basketball-wise again. So throw that out there. Keep it on the hush-hush, but just tell him if he comes to Boston College, he's going to have $1 million in his pocket. Like, how are you going to stop these schools from illegally incentivizing kids to go places recruiting-wise? You're not.
Mm. It is fascinating. I mean, and there's nobody to better talk recruiting with than you. I mean, you've been in it from the ground floor for many, many years. There is stuff that goes on. I'm sure you have story after story. What is in the perfect world? Is there a middle ground here? What is the Jeff Goodman fix for it all?
Well, it's not to have guardrails, and that's what the NCAA is trying to do now. They're trying to put up guardrails, and they're not going to be able to. And I think what you need to do is let the market correct itself. So, for example, Kentucky, if again somebody wants to pay, if they want to pay Brandon Boston is a good example, top 10 kid last year, they want to pay him a crazy amount of money. Well, he didn't really deliver this past year. So whoever it is that's giving him that money might say to themselves the next year, well, we didn't get return on our investment. So we're not going to overpay again. You know, where obviously, you know, Zion, you know, if you're whatever you were doing when Zion got to Duke, whoever you were, right? If you're a trading card company and you're doing something with Zion and autographs or whatever, you're crushing it. So I just think there's not going to be a ton of people that return on their investment like a Zion Williamson. Even Cade Cunningham, he's going to be the #1 pick. Evan Mobley. It's not like those guys have huge social media followings and are going to command huge money. They're going to make money. They are. They're going to make money. And like they can make money even, doing workouts, individual workouts with kids if they want to. Some of these players in college, they can make money. If you're throwing a house party, Drew, and you wanted to, invite like Cade Cunningham to come and come to your house party and promote it, you could say, hey, like, Cade, I'm going to pay you $1,000 to come to my party. And Cade's going to come, put it on your social media, and then you're going to charge everybody, $50 a head to come into your party. You're going to make some money. So there's so many different ways to figure out how to be able to pay some of these kids. And I don't think the NCAA has any idea what they've gotten themselves into trying to implement and institute guardrails. Instead, just honestly, let these kids make money however they can at this point. I know, yes, the line will be blurred between, professionals a little bit. But again, I think that the market will ultimately correct itself and people aren't going to want to piss away money. So they're not going to just give away money for kids that aren't that good.
Good Lord. All right. Now, since we have that settled, perfect. Tell me a little bit about how again, Jeff Goodman joining us from Stadium. Tell me a little bit about how the Coach K thing came about. For those of you who don't know, this guy broke the news that I think shook the basketball world for like a full straight week. I can imagine that was I don't know how you got the scoop, but maybe you can tell us, maybe whatever. But what was that like, breaking that story?
Well, it's crazy. As you know, that day was nuts because we woke up to the news that Danny Ainge was going to step down from the Celtics, and Brad Stevens, the shocker, was not Danny Ainge stepping down, that Brad Stevens was going to go from his seat coaching to Danny Ainge's seat as a general manager. So I'm trying to honestly figure that out and what that meant. And people are texting me and wanting me to go on shows and whatnot and give my opinion. And then all of a sudden I got a call. And we had kind of known, you've heard the rumbling since Roy Williams retired back in April, that Kay was going to be soon behind, whether it was this year, next year, whatever. I mean, he's turning 75. You knew the day was coming. But I got a call saying, hey, it's going to happen this week. It's going to happen Thursday or Friday. Duke's going to make an announcement. Pretty good source. So I call somebody else, second source, and they say, you're right. You're right on the money. You're 100% on. Kay's going to be done in a year, and John Shire is going to be the new head coach, the assistant, who played at Duke, part of their national title team in 2010. I've known John, believe it or not, I broke John Shire's commitment to Duke. That's how old I am. So kind of crazy.
I remember him playing. That's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago, but it still makes me feel old. So I get a second source, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. But I'm like, it's Coach K. Let me get a third. Usually with a second source, you're pretty good. You feel good about it. But with Coach K in retirement, you're like, let me make sure. So I called one more source and just said, hey, tell me if I'm wrong here. And he said, no, you're right. In fact, the players are going to be told at 3:30 today that Kay's done after one more year. And they're having a meeting with the board at 3:30 also to basically formalize John Shire as the next head coach. It's not 100%, but it's like 99. So I was ready to go with it. And I remember typing out the tweet right here, right at my desk in Newburyport and at home. And my hand was literally shaking, Drew. And I've never had this happen to me before. I'm like, whatever, no big deal. But you understand the magnitude when it's Coach K retiring. And I knew I was 100% right. But you understood again that this was a big one. This was a big one that was going to shake college basketball.
Man, what a great little journalism story that is too.
Yeah.
Huh? You did the work, and still, I mean, it's only basketball, I know, but it's a big basketball story. And my goodness, that was a great scoop. Obviously, that's a busy day. You mentioned the Celtics angle to this. What in the world was going on with the Celtics? It felt like disarray at the end. It felt like disinterest, and now you're hearing all these little rumblings come out. What do you know about what was going on in that locker room?
I don't think it was as bad as what people are saying because I know the personalities. I know Brad Stevens and Kemba Walker. I know there's been some reports out there lately that, they didn't see eye to eye, which listen, Kemba Walker wasn't the Kemba Walker that the Celtics thought they were getting, right? I mean, he was unreliable because of health reasons, because of his knees. So I think he's frustrated. Brad Stevens is frustrated because he doesn't know what to do, when he's going to have them, whatnot. So I think, it went sideways a little bit with those guys. And I think ultimately Brad Stevens knew he had to move on from Kemba when he took over as the general manager to try to gain some flexibility. And as I said all year, here's the problem too. Even if Kemba was at 100%, I'm not sure the trio of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kemba Walker fits well together because they're all guys that really want and need the ball in their hands. There's not really a facilitator among them. So what Brad Stevens did here, he got out from Kemba's contract, which was bad, $73 million over the last 2 years, and got Al Horford's contract, which is $40 million guaranteed for the next 2 years. So Horford is also a guy who can make guys better from his position. He's a great passing big man. Doesn't have a lot left in the tank, but you know what? He's solid in the locker room. And now what it does is it frees you up money-wise to make another move, whether it's add another shooter, whether it's for my money now, you've got to get a point guard. Like I get Evan Fournier. People want him back. He's going to command $15 million or so most likely, and you need a shooter. But you can't win with Marcus Smart and Peyton Pritchard as your point guard duo. You can't. Not at the highest level. So you've got to address that. That's more important right now than re-signing Evan Fournier, in my opinion.
All right, there you go. The hound dog's barking. You know what that means. We've kept you for too long. Jeff Goodman, thank you so much, man. This has been a pleasure. Real quick, did you have a good Father's Day? I saw great pictures of you and your daughter. She's going to be a journalism star, I think, much against your wishes, I believe. But
yeah, it is. And yeah, it's funny as you get older. And she's got 1 year left before she goes off to college, man. Father's Day, we spent it with my dad, mom and dad down the Cape. But just the thought of another Father's Day and then she goes off to college and she's our only, man. It gets you get a little emotional thinking about it, which, And again, we got to get out to some colleges, see some colleges soon here in August and try to figure out where she wants to go. And hopefully it's a school that does not cost $75,000 or $80,000 a year, Drew. I'm praying.
Yeah. I know a great tour guide, I think.
There you go.
Jeff Goodman, man, we'll bring you back in for the college basketball season, hopefully in a post-pandemic completely world, and we can all get back to normal, man. We appreciate you taking the time again. This was great.
Thanks a lot, Drew. Appreciate it. Hope to see you in person soon.
All right, Jeff Goodman, thank you very much. That was fantastic. Stadium Sports, Stadium Basketball Insider, Jeff Goodman. Awesome Twitter follow as well. Jeff Goodman, thank you. Newburyport's own. All right, Sarah Conway, bring in Sarah. Sarah, where are you? Okay, I teased Sarah at the beginning. Here's Sarah. It's been a while. Sit here for a second.
Hello.
Sarah, hello, Sarah. She's running the Boston Marathon. Congratulations. How's the training going? You enjoying yourself?
I do like the training, yes.
Okay, you're having a fundraiser Thursday at the Newburyport Brewery. We don't need to do too much about that because that's personal stuff, but I do know boy, has the Newburyport businesses came through for us. We just want to say thank you.
Yes, they've been amazing, just giving us things left and right.
Very charitable city, the city of Newburyport. They've been great. She's running for the New England Center for Children, which is our school, which Kids for Autism, and they've done an awesome, they've just been so kind. It's restored my faith in humanity.
Yeah, me too.
They've done really, really great. And it's not been an easy time for all the businesses around us, we all know. So great job from all the businesses. And good luck to you when you run the marathon in October.
October 11th.
It's a lot of miles.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun. You're gonna do all 26?
I'm gonna do 26.2.
Very good. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Ooh, there's that bright light again. All right. See you, everybody, live at Drew's house.